final race of the weekend in the fourth meeting of the season for the Euroformula Open Championship, getting underway very shortly. It's the second of our reverse grid races around the Hungaroring. 17 laps or 30 minutes of racing to come around this 4.381 kilometre circuit. 14 turns to navigate around the Godlow Hills on the outskirts of Budapest. Track temperature starting to cool down as the sun begins to dip ever lower in the sky, and the raindrops that we saw at the start of race 2 have absolutely disappeared. It's been nothing but clear skies since we took the checkered flag earlier on today, where Diego Della Torre became our 6th different winner of 2026 with his first ever career victory in the Euroformula Open Championship from the front row of the grid. And he starts this second reverse grid race from pole position as well. So maybe he can do what Jose Carrasquillo did in Misano and go back-to-back on Sunday. Chris Stevens and George Morgan up here in the commentary box for one final time this weekend. And George, big moment for Diego Della Torre this morning.
Yes, and good afternoon, Chris. Good afternoon, everyone at home. It was a big moment. First win of the season, and goes a long way. Obviously, a driver that has been so competitive and so consistent through the course of the campaign. Not only has that been his first win of the season in total, that's 6 podiums that he's managed to notch together. Obviously, that does mean as well that despite Rui Hengye not achieving a solitary win this weekend so far, somehow, some way, the points gap in terms of where P1 currently operates, it's actually expanded by 1 solitary point. So it's 66 now, as opposed to the 65 as it was when we came into the weekend, because Diego Della Torre has been exchanging with Everett Stack over P2 in the championship. Of course, Stack a winner in race 1 this weekend, and there was Diego Della Torre who came in. Both drivers, incidentally, achieving their first race wins of the season in the same weekend. So that's quite stunning, really. And that's great for the series, because it means we have got yet another 2 race winners on our hands.
And I noticed we have all 6 of our race winners from this season starting inside the top 6.
Yes.
Actually, as
it's an all-star grid.
It's the reverse of the qualifying order.
The Avengers have assembled.
For race 3. And yes, Diego Della Torre adding his first career win. Everett Stack picking up his first win of the season yesterday, but a winner in his maiden campaign in 2025. Rui Hengye has finished second in both races so far this weekend, hence the extension of the championship lead, as he's missed out to cars that were not close enough to him in the championship to make a significant enough difference, and he goes from 3rd on the grid for this one. I'm sure would like to take a win at some point here this weekend after not doing so in Misano. Came to Misano with 5 wins in 6 races, but has not stood on the top step of the podium since we left Spa-Francorchamps back in May. And so here is the car that won race 2 this morning and is starting on reverse grid pole position. Diego Della Torre, the Mexican driver from Guadalajara, the youngster picking up his first career victory in the championship. And it's Jose Carrasquillo, who had an absolute nightmare of a start in race 2 from pole position this morning. He will start alongside him, the fellow Mexican from Guadalajara. So hopefully the tourism board is keeping an eye on this race. Rui Hengye, still the championship leader. The Chinese Taipei driver starting on the 2nd row of the grid alongside the Venezuelan driver Alessandro Familaro. Actually, I've noticed that you have to go down to 7th position before you even get to a European driver on this grid. We've got such an international feel to this predominantly European championship, but stars coming from all over.
Absolutely. Here's our other race winner of the weekend, and first for the season for Everett Stack, after successfully managing to negotiate his way around the Budapest circuit and immediately stealing the show straight away yesterday. Javier Herrera will be feeling somewhat despondent, qualified on pole position, but things seemed to fall apart at the start of race 1, and by equal measure, race 2 earlier today was a challenge. He'll be looking for an improved performance, but starting from P6 is going to be difficult. Victor Dobransky coming back in 7th place, was of course in the midst of squabbling with the likes of Divi Nandan, as well as Lorenzo Castillo as well through the course of the weekend so far. It's been a tough weekend for the pole, as now we move on back to Divi Nandan, who will be starting from 8th on the grid. Hailing from India, we'll also have company from returning back again for the 3rd time this season, and of course his first weekend in this championship, Cello Han, whose father is racing in the International GT Open, picking up a win in AM class as well yesterday. So plenty for the Han family to celebrate. Christian Han, of course, a former Euroformula Open driver, having laid claim to several podiums between the realms of 2017 and 2019. He's ahead of Jan Koller from Czechia, who is being tutored by Roman Stanek this season, with Lorenzo Castillo down in 11th ahead of Neri Autosport's Aaron Ferrazzano, who'll be starting from the back.
So the cars lined up on the grid, ready to go for the formation lap shortly. Just heading up to 3 minutes to the hour. Let's look back on what's happened so far this weekend. Javier Herrera starting on pole position for race 1, but a slightly sluggish start from the Mexican driver. That allowed Everett Stack and Rui Hengye to come through on the inside, 3 abreast into the first corner, with Everett Stack coming out on top. Big moment for Diego de la Torre as he made his way into turn 2, running wide, and Jan Koller going for a spin. Lorenzo Castillo and Jesse Carrasquillo battling for 6th position. That would become reverse grid pole position for race 2, but Everett Stack, a dominant first victory of the season in race 1, putting his hat into the ring. Jesse Carrasquillo, a difficult start for him from reverse grid pole position this morning in race 2, and that allowed Diego de la Torre to get the whole shot into the first corner. Big lock up from Rui Hengye as he went down the inside into turn 2. There were raindrops falling in the early stages, and Jesse Carrasquillo needed some heads-up driving to avoid the Chinese Taipei driver, and then to battle with Everett Stack, who did find his way through. A wide moment on the final lap for Carrasquillo allowed Javier Herrera to come through into 4th position, but Diego de la Torre became our 6th different winner of 2026, and a maiden score on the top step of the podium for the Mexican driver. So going into this final race of the weekend, it means that Rui Hengye has a 66-point lead going into race 3. Diego de la Torre 2 points ahead of Everett Stack, with Alessandro Famolaro and Jesse Carrasquillo inside the top 5. Javier Herrera still in 6th position after a pair of 4th place finishes so far this weekend. Race 3 getting underway very shortly. The formation lap about to start for the final 17-lap race of the weekend. Here's how they line up. It's Diego de la Torre, your race 2 winner, who starts on reverse grid pole position alongside Jesse Carrasquillo, who was on pole position for race 2 earlier on today. Rui Hengye, a pair of 2nd place finishes for him so far this weekend, goes from 3rd alongside Alessandro Famolaro. Everett Stack, your race 1 winner, starts alongside Javier Herrera, the pole sitter from race 1, the BBM racing driver, going from 6th position. Then Victor Dobransky in the number 7 from Team Motorpark alongside Divi Nandan, the Indian driver in the BVM racing car. Cello Han rounds out his debut Euroformula Open weekend, starting from 9th position alongside Jan Koller, with Lorenzo Castillo and Aaron Ferrazzano at the back of the grid. The Neri Autosport driver, the Belgian driver in the French team, going from 12th on the grid. So the formation lap about to get underway. George, one last encounter for these drivers.
Yes, a last race of the Hungaroring weekend here on Classic weekend here in Hungary as well, because we have the classic cars sprinkled around the circuit. Of course, it's been a little while since we've seen Jesse Carrasquillo tasting victory. Of course, last time out at Misano, race 3 was the last occasion. Actually went back-to-back that weekend after clinching the result in race 2. We definitely thought coming into the campaign that he was going to be a major threat for the championship, and we've yet to really see that dominance. In fact, the dominance has largely been in the hands of Rui Hengye, though he has not won since race 3 at Spa, and at the moment on a run of nearly 6 races. If he doesn't win here, 6 races without a victory for Rui Hengye, which is obviously so unlike what we have seen coming out of the first 2 rounds of the championship season. Elsewhere, though, Diego de la Torre with a grand opportunity to do what Carrasquillo did back at Misano. He got victory in race 2 earlier on today, with high prospects starting from pole position in achieving a victory in race 3. And we saw how staunch his defensive driving was in having and harnessing the ability to keep Rui Hengye behind. Of course, Rui Hengye had to settle for 2nd place and now starts from third on the grid. I wouldn't count him out. I wouldn't count out Carrasquillo. This is going to be a fascinating race because Carrasquillo is so quick. We know how good Rui Hengyer is, and he's in a better position, really, than he was in race 2.
And Rui Hengyer has had 2 very strong starts so far this weekend. So going from third on the grid, I would anticipate him to be challenging for the lead going down into the first corner. Hopefully, Jesse Carrasquillo has been able to solve whatever gremlins he had at the start of race 2. Bit of practice on the clutch. It's a foot-operated clutch in these cars. So I know that a lot of videos showing like the back of the steering wheels and things like that in other single-seaters, it's all about the clutch paddles behind the steering wheel, but you only get that at the global FIA Formula 3 level. So in the regional championships, it is still a foot-operated clutch like your road cars, but a little bit more finesse required and a few more revs to get these cars off the line. So
it's one of the biggest challenges when you're driving a domestic car for the first time, learning, ready to take your steps onto the domestic roads, managing the clutch, being able to actually maneuver the car without stalling.
Well, and given the number of different rental cars we use over the years, George, you've mastered that ability.
But I'm very, very experienced, and dare I say, I've had numerous cars with a loose clutch in my time.
So Diego Della Torre leads the field around the final corner at the end of this formation lap, getting temperature into the Pirelli rubber. And it is Motorpark cars 1, 2 and 3 on the grid here, BVM cars 4 and 6. Remember, it was Javier Herrera who put the car on pole position, but hasn't quite shown all of his ability. It was second on the road in race 1, but a 5-second time penalty for contact with Rui Hengyer demoted him off the podium. So Herrera with a point to prove, potentially from 6th on the grid. He's going to need a strong start in order to make that happen. So Diego Della Torre into the pole position slot. The last few cars making their way into position. 17 laps of racing, or 30 minutes, whichever we hit first. We take a look at Timo Rompkal, the Motorpark team boss, watching his cars at the front of the grid. We're racing for the final time in the Euroformula Open Championship in Budapest. A lovely start there from Diego Della Torre, but one car not getting off the line at all, and it was Chelo Hahn, I'm afraid. The Brazilian rookie not getting anywhere off the line. Della Torre leads though, and Rui Hengyer around the outside of the first corner takes second place away from Jesse Carrasquillo, goes well wide at the exit of the first corner, and so that will allow Carrasquillo a run back around the outside. Stack having to defend behind him as well, and a little twitch there from Rui Hengyer. It was a lock up into that corner at the start of race 2 earlier on. Now he's having rear end instability going into that corner. He does just about hang on to second place ahead of Carrasquillo, and Everett Stack in 4th position.
Yeah, good start. It has to be said, Diego Della Torre is still consolidating that position up at the very front, but obviously Rui Hengyer is nowhere near done yet. Aaron Farrazano going a little bit wide and rushing over the curbs. That's going to be an uncomfortable run there for the Neri Autosport drivers. They now make their way through towards turn 6 and 7 at the chicane. It's Della Torre, Carrasquillo for the back. Stack hovering all over the back of Carrasquillo there in P4, with Famolaro ahead of Javier Herrera, who in turn is keeping Dobransky at bay. We just saw Divi Nandan making his way out of turn 8 through turn 9. There is the number 3 car, the current rookie race leader. Javier Herrera also leading the rookie championship as it stands, has not yet laid claim to a race win since that first race at Misano, and definitely missing out on that for Giuseppe Mazzotti's team. We're running on board just briefly there with Everett Stack, who is still hovering all over the back of Carrasquillo.
So Della Torre hanging on to the lead from pole position. It's as you were for race 2 earlier on, with Rui Hengyer breathing down the Mexican's neck, and he was... Whoa! Big moment coming out of turn 11 there for the race leader, Diego Della Torre. Yeah. Well, that will have raised his heartbeat a little bit, I am sure. So he will have spiked the temperature a little bit in those rear Pirellis, and already going defensive into turn 1 against Rui Hengyer. Now, he was able to soak up that pressure from the championship leader beautifully in race 2 earlier on, was very composed at the head of the field, not going overly defensive, not putting the car in any of the wrong places, able to repel the advances of the dominant man so far this year. Can he do it again for another 16 laps, though?
We'll have to wait and see. Of course, you can't use the rain as an excuse anymore. That has since dissipated, just given the sunshine that we have had since the course of this morning. We did have a little bit of extra rain come down, coming into the mid-portion of the day, but the sun has been beaming ever since then, and Diego Della Torre making full use of it. cruising through as they come through the chicane, chasing a second win this weekend, which would also grace him with 2 wins in the Euroformula, ahead of Yair at the moment, chasing yet another win himself, looking for number 6 at this stage. Carrasquedo chasing win number 3, win number 2 being chased by Everett Stack. Further back, Famolaro also chasing his second win of the season, with Javier Herrera also chasing his second at the same time. They make up the runners inside the top 6, 16 laps to go. Della Torre, Carrasquedo and Stack. 4 Motor Park's line astern as they now cruise through towards turn 13. The Mexican sensation, Della Torre, who will be hoping the Mexico can do the goods, provide the goods against England in the World Cup this weekend, though he would love to walk away with a second win against his name here this season, because that would mean oh so much to his championship charge.
Just to give you a feel of the international nature of this race, it's the Mexican leading the Chinese Taipei driver, another Mexican, the American, the Venezuelan, the third Mexican, all inside the top 6, and then the Polish driver, the Indian driver, the Czech driver, the Belgian driver. We've got them all here. The Brazilian rounding out the field as well, and Chalohan has actually very quickly got onto the back of the tail end of the field. Yeah, he's within a second.
The last lap. Fastest lap.
Within a second of Lorenzo Castillo already, so still got some strong raw pace in that car. And hopefully now that he's racing, we might one day see the Hahn family take on like a Dubai 24-hour or something together with Cello and Marcello Senior and Christian Hahn as well. That'd be quite something to see.
Well, we had the likes of Fifo Barrichello, who is, of course, the son of Rubens Barrichello. And, of course, as a family, they've raced. It's obviously Eduardo Barrichello also racing in single-seater competition a few years ago, has since now taken to sports car racing, etc. Of course, taking part in Brazilian supercars as they, or Brazilian stock car, I should say. That is where the family mainstay operates. Of course, Barrichello's been part of that for a long period of time, post-Formula One career. As we, there's a car just running off wide there, just in front of Divi Nandan. Victor Dobransky, I think, just taking a little bit of a wide turn in the number 7 Motor Park. Neri Autosports Ferrazzano doing very well in front of Castillo at the moment, with Han now very much on the tail of Castillo. There is Marcello Han Senior, the driver who won the AM Class, or took the AM Class victory in the International GT Open in race 1 yesterday. Well, he's enjoying this as now his namesake, Cello Han, starts to close in on Castillo over that 11th spot.
So we've had the Hans, we've had the Barrichellos. We had the Wirtzes at one point as well, a couple of years ago, and I'm sure there's someone else I'm forgetting. Enzo Trulli.
Yeah.
Of course, he was in there as well. So
Jarno Trulli, and not to get Charlie Wirtz as well.
Charlie Wirtz, alongside his brother Oscar, coming through other single-seater competitions, and had a chat with Alex Wirtz at Le Mans a few weeks ago as well, leading the Toyota hypercar program, of course. Nervous faces inside the various garages. Team Motor Park, the clans watching on as the cars make their way through turn 5 here. Lap 4 of the race.
Chalohan has been absolutely blistering. He's 1.5 tenths now away from Lorenzo Castillo, who was fastest at the speed trap as well coming into this, and still harnessing the fastest lap of the race with that 1:37.463. He is on a flyer at the moment.
6.5 seconds covering the entire field of 12 cars. So that says something, doesn't it? They're all very closely matched at the moment. So we ride on board with Javier Herrera, looking at the back of his teammate Alessandro Famolaro, who was on the podium in race 1 yesterday. A very emotional moment for the Venezuelan driver, displaying the flag proudly after the terrible earthquakes in Venezuela earlier in the month, in the weeks. And putting on a great show before the GT Open race yesterday with a minute's silence. And Famolaro, the aggressor here on Everett Stack, going to the outside of the first corner. Stack successfully defending that one, and up and under here from Famolaro, who tries to get the run out of the corner. Stack will still have the inside line when they get to turn 2. So Famolaro, he thought about selling the dummy there and diving back up the inside, but thought against that. Slightly narrower line on the exit of the corner, but still Stack hanging on to that 4th place spot.
Yeah, Famolaro, of course, close friends as well with the Fittipaldis, and
Juan Pablo Montoya as well.
Absolutely right. Obviously wearing his heart on his sleeve with the hopes of a nation as well bearing on his shoulders. You can see the emotion and how it affected him back at Portimao after he took that victory. Of course, he has such a vibrant support base does Alessandro Famolaro. Took a break from racing, returned here to the Euroformula Open Championship. It is now hunting down Everett Stack over that P4. We just caught there as well. Javier Herrera, leading rookie in this classification, not to mention in the championship as far as the rookies is concerned as well. He's got Dobransky for company, as well as Divi Nandan, his teammate from BVM, with Giuseppe Mazzotti willing and yearning his team to continue. Obviously after the heroics of Timek Kaharczyk last season, who now tops the Indy Next Championship as Timek Kaharczyk. And we have seen some spirited performances from Evan David this weekend as well. So both our championship contenders from last year really proving to show their worth here now in their respective championships. Of course, Evan David in the FIA Formula 3 Championship as Diego Della Torre crosses the stripe and now has 12 laps left to take.
You see those grid hatchings on the final corner. I feel so bad for anybody who actually has to start from those positions, because you're setting off on a corner.
Yes.
On the back, it's bad enough you're at the back of the grid, and then you've got to start going around a corner.
You have to instantly rotate out of turn 14. We're just going to ride on board here by the looks of it with Herrera, all but briefly. Not today, says the cameraman, as we now rejoin the trackside action. As now Diego Della Torre swiftly moves downhill out of turn 3. It's got Rui Hengye for company. Carrasquillo line astern. Just look at the train that has been formed here. The last car, Herrera, currently 1.4, now 1.7 ahead of Dobransky. Dobransky now facing the threat of Divi Nandan.
Yeah, so the top 6 forming a breakaway here, and that is all 6 of our race winners so far from this season. So a very evenly matched squad of 4 Motorpark cars and 2 BVM racing cars that are bringing up the rear of this train for the moment. Through the middle sector, Herrera, the aggressor, at the back of the field. Diego Della Torre hanging on to the the lead so far, having held onto it from pole position. Rui Hengye trying to mount the pressure on still, with Jesse Carrasquillo, Everett Stack, Famolaro and Herrera in close proximity. Herrera still your top rookie class driver. Those are the cars on the graphic with the red background on it. So that's anybody under the age of 18 coming from a lower powered machine. So Javier Herrera, for example, coming from F4 this year, as indeed was Dobransky and Koller. So that qualifies them for that particular championship. And Javier Herrera very much walking away with the rookie class championship as it stands. 6th position in the overall championship.
He's in touching distance of Famolaro at the moment, as well as they come out of turn 1. Very close between the 2 BVM runners. Stack has almost been given, I think, an olive branch really to focus in on Carrasquillo. That's an in-fight at Motorpark, and obviously the in-fight at BVM just in behind. Divi Nandan has since dropped off a little bit from the back of Dobransky, and that gap was a lot closer. Obviously Dobransky 1.3 now away from those inside the top 6, but he has brought that gap down ever so slightly. He has been putting in the faster laps against Herrera. Han has actually taken Castillo, as we just heard a tyre squeal. Now I'm not sure whether that's led to a spin, but flags being waved elsewhere.
So that was a green flag on the exit of 5, but so assuming there was a yellow
Turn 5,
on the exit, and
yellow
yes,
flag.
There are yellow flags being waved there, so somebody's gone around. We heard the Pirelli tyre squeal.
I wonder if it was Castillo who might have gone round. I mean, it was Marcelo Han who's managed to move up to 11th.
Well, they'll trip the beam on the exit of Sector 2 any second now, so we'll keep an eye on that. And by power of deduction, yellow flags now waving at turn 8. And yes, it is Jan Koller who's tumbling down the timing order at the moment.
Ferrazzano's gone too.
And potentially Aaron Ferrazzano as well, because we've got yellow flags at turn 8 as well now. So seemingly dramas for Ferrazzano and Jan Koller, because yes, Chalohan up to 9th and Lorenzo Castillo up to 10th position now.
Seemingly different incidents at different portions of the racetrack. Of course, the first one at turn 5, or is it? No, maybe not. It's okay, so Ferrazzano and Koller together, and it does look like there's damage to the front left on that Jan Koller car.
It's a very askew front left wheel, wasn't it, on Koller's car? So the car's stopped at turn 8, so that's just after the chicane, the first left-hander in that tight middle sector.
They're declaring in race control that that's out of the racing line, so whether they're quite happy just to use race yellows at that portion of track, we'll wait and see.
Well, the drivers are already out of the cars, or at least Aaron Ferrazzano was as well. So we'll see if we need a safety car intervention for that one. So yellow flags being extended here through the chicane. but they are out of sight, out of mind for the race leaders at the very least. So 0.4 of a second between De La Torre and Rui Hengye when they came through at turn 4 earlier on at the end of the first sector. SA Carrasquillo still soaking up the pressure from Everett Stack. Quite astonishingly, we've ended up with pretty much the same fight we had in race 2, because we saw Everett Stack fighting SA Carrasquillo for a spot on the podium earlier on today.
Yeah, almost a carbon copy. In fact, dare I say it is, with Diego De La Torre still leading the way, trying to defend against Rui Hengye over the victory. So we'll see whether Rui Hengye can finally break the duct of no win since Spa-Francorchamps. Is now Herrera looks to go side by side, or Famularo looks to go side by side here with Everett Stack over that P4 place in touching distance into the podium. Lovely switch back there from Famularo, and that's going to give him the leverage now to go wheel to wheel, but the inside line critically here with Stack on the run down through towards turn 2. The Virginian now looking to hold true up the inside. Will that compromise his exit through turn 3? Not by the looks of it. Stack doing very well to defend, and we now have green flags at turn 8.
But still yellow flags at turn 5 for some reason, so see what that's about. We're right on board.
There's the LED.
Yep, so the digital flag boards displaying yellow flags at that point on the racetrack, and still the wave flags here. So yeah, going into the chicane, we still have yellow flags, but now green as they go towards turn 8. Unless I was looking at the wrong bit of the screen, nothing blindingly obvious in that section of the racetrack. Maybe some debris, or the cars parked just behind the wall, still potentially in the firing line, and those cars are going to stay there until the end of the race. So that's basically a permanent yellow flag from turns 5 through to turn 7 now. Yeah.
So obviously the cars will remain until the checkered flag comes out, where the marshals obviously will deal with those when the race comes to an end. Diego De La Torre takes them round once more with Rui Hengye in hot pursuit. 8 laps to go here in Budapest, and urging ever closer over that P4 spot. Everett Stack coming under fire from Famularo once more. Looks to the outside, Stack going defensive. Probably didn't need to, because Famularo wasn't quite close enough to make that move happen.
That was a bit of a Fisichella at Suzuka defence there, wasn't it, from Everett Stack, just sort of defending clean air.
Yeah, well, at the moment, well, what that's done is effectively brought and invited Famularo closer to him as they now come out of turn 3 and now look to fly up through towards turn 4. So that's only elongated the gap between Stack and Carrasquillo.
And this is a 7-car train now, because Dobransky is now only half a second away from Javier Herrera.
That wasn't a great run coming through turn 5 there for Stack. Coming out of turn 4, went very wide across the curbing. That might invite things for Famularo and maybe open a door. He's not going to go for it coming into the chicane, but within 3 tenths, very nearly within 2 tenths, is Famularo. We're right on board here with the Virginian, who won on the 4th of July. At the very start of this race weekend. Race 1 going his way, his first of the campaign here this season. Now looking to try and dig deep to try and get closer to Carrasquillo. That's going to be easier said than done, especially when you've got another car breathing down your neck. And Stack looking to urge closer to the back of the Mexican Carrasquillo as they make their way out of turn 12. It is still Diego De La Torre, though. Castillo has moved past Marcello Han, and Han dropping down to P10, Castillo into rookie P3.
7 laps to go when they come across the stripe. Still De La Torre leading the way. And, very wide moment there for Cello Han, I assume that is. And equally a wide moment for Lorenzo Castillo towards the rear of the field. That was on the exit of turn number 11.
Oh, Han back past into P9. So Han is...
I don't think he lost that place.
Well, they rotated,
right.
yeah. So it looks like either he gave the place back because he felt it was unfair, or whether Han has actually genuinely done it on track. We can't say for sure, because obviously it was done not necessarily in picture of what we're seeing now, but good effort for Han. And I've got to say, he's impressed us, I think, owing to this to be his first experience in F3 machinery, having come out of Brazilian F4 and never touching a blade of grass, or indeed anything circuit-wise in Europe. This has been an exceptional first visit on his part.
Yeah, has done a very commendable job out there, has Cello Han. Been on the pace and competing with those with quite a bit more experience in this car than he has. Della Torre still leads Rui Hengye through the middle sector. And Jesse Carrasquillo, running in third position at the moment, has not finished on the podium so far this weekend, has Carrasquillo. Double race winner from Misano, went back-to-back on Sunday.
Confirmation there was contact between Collar and Ferrazzano because the stewards are investigating the incident, but that will be noted for the time being. So we might hear something about that later on in the race. Obviously 7 laps still to go, soon to be 6 left as Della Torre comes out of the final corner. Herrera we're currently riding on board with. There's now the green wingtips of the Motor Park Dallara 324 now fly down through towards turn 1 with Rui Hengye in hot pursuit, getting closer and closer as the Chinese Taipei driver, with Carrasquillo still locked in P3 behind, with Everett Stack getting a little closer to the back of him now, seemingly recovered after being fodder for Famolaro. A couple of moves from Famolaro were on show and a few defensive manoeuvres from Stack, but now has refocused his attention on Carrasquillo, which now raises the question as to whether Carrasquillo will remain in third. We'll wait and see. Obviously plenty of action left, and we know that Hungaroring is a very imposing circuit, very close. Monaco without walls, it has been dubbed by various fans that have observed Formula One in the past, and certainly as it reigns now is the Hungarian Grand Prix, the locale for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Through the chicane, there is Stack over the curbs, nice and aggressive, using every bit of circuit as he looks to try and close up to the back of Carrasquillo, the Virginian, fresh off the back of his first year last year in this series, taking on the likes of Timek Harchik, Yevon David, part of that 3-wide affair at Monza that is now being famed. Oh my goodness, wide from Stack, and he may yet face some punishments after that. Certainly the lack of momentum will hinder him and will allow Famolaro to get a little bit closer. You can't afford to make mistakes like that, Chris.
Certainly can't. Famolaro will take any opportunity he gets. He's been staring at the back of Everett Stack's car since they left turn 2 on the opening lap. Opening up the taps now on the turbocharged 3-cylinder engine in the back of these cars. So down the straight we go, 5 laps remaining and 0.6 of a second separating Diego Della Torre from Rui Hengye at the head of the field. Just 3.2 seconds that covers the top 7 cars that are in very close formation here.
Oh, confirmation of the drive-through for Cello Han for the starting procedure infringement. So obviously due to the issue at the start, him not getting off the line, he now faces a drive-through penalty.
That's got to be something else.
Yeah.
Something in the starting procedure that he didn't follow there. Did seem to struggle off the line, but yeah, I think something else going on there. So
do you think he could have jumped out of his box a little bit too early and stalled in the process before the lights went out?
Potentially. Yeah, but without seeing it again, we'll have to just speculate. So maybe he was outside his grid box. Potentially a wide moment there for Victor Dobransky. That was at the back of this train of cars coming through turn 9. And that's inviting Divi Nandan to make it an 8-car train for the lead of this race. But Diego Della Torre can just dictate the pace because he knows that as long as he keeps a relatively decent speed and doesn't make any stupid mistakes, then Rui Hengye is going to really struggle to get around the Mexican driver. Lapping in the 138 now are the leaders.
PB as well for Rui Hengye, 137.969. So showing a good, decent amount of pace and obviously utilising that slipstream he is getting off the Mexican at the top of the shop. See, we did just see the background as well in Sector 3. Cello Han dropping into the gravel trap, just dipping his toes in there, and that's cost him yet more time, but obviously it's all moot as he will be eventually coming through for his drive-through as they now swan on through, down through turn 3 and on the run up through towards turn 4. Diego Della Torre in what has been a like-for-like performance so far from what we saw earlier on today. We'll very much hope that it does carry on the way it has done, with Rui Hengye still in behind, but I don't think he has shown Della Torre everything just yet. Rui Hengye is certainly a vibrant talent who has cut his teeth in the FIA Formula Original European Championship in different F3 machinery, coming into the Dallara 324, made 4 appearances last season, That gave him the foundations to then come into the season, into this championship for this season, and grab the bull by the horns. And that's exactly what he did through the first 2 rounds, taking 5 race wins in 6 competitive starts, off the back of 2 pole positions to go and coincide with that. But Carrasquillo also a 2-time race winner in 1 round back at Misano. So you've got certainly the class of the field inside this top 6 at the moment. Still Herrera holding on to P6, and indeed the highest placing for a rookie driver in this field. Looking to take on the rookie championship. Here comes Rui Hengye. Now this might be a chance here for the Chinese Type A driver. Getting closer, and indeed defensive from Della Torre, defensive from Stack as well. Rui Hengye trying the up and under. Wide moment there for Della Torre. Rui Hengye, through he goes and takes the lead of the race here with 3 to go.
New race leader then, it's the championship leader, looking for his first victory of the season since Spa. Diego Della Torre finally succumbs to the pressure, and Rui Hengye into the lead. So can Della Torre respond to that one and try and usurp our new race leader? But 2.5 laps to go, and Rui Hengye hits the front for the first time this weekend, really. We haven't seen him in his customary position that we've gotten used to in the first 2 meetings of the season. That was a big dive on the inside there from Javier Herrera. We're going to see the moment again. Della Torre defending to the inside and goes very, very wide, and so that just gives Rui Hengye an unchallenged run to turn 2 and into the lead of the race.
No changes, I don't think, after that manoeuvre coming down to the chicane. So
well, I wonder if is it permanent yellow at turn 6 and 7, or have we actually green flagged that now? Because
I think it's just turn 5, Chris, to be honest.
We'll double check it when we get back around again. Only 2 laps to go, so probably won't make that much difference, but just for my own sake of mind, I'll double check.
Yeah, well, we'll soon find out. Update, obviously, Jan Koller, team managers of Team Motorpark being asked to report to race control immediately. That, I can only imagine, is due to the incident between him and Ferrazzano that saw both of them basically depart out of the race, hence why we do have the flag conditions. Cello Hahn has come into the pits now. I'm watching him outside my commentary box window come in, so now Castillo will inherit that P9, and therefore Hahn, last of the running cars, will have to serve that drive-through as of course, issued by race control owing to a start infringement for the Euroformula newbie. There he is now, leaving the pits, and will indeed rejoin the circuit. Whilst, of course, that has been scrubbed clean, he is now well and truly behind the rest of the field. So we'll now use the remaining laps as a learning experience for a potential future visit back to the championship. And I'd imagine this won't be the last we'll see from him.
Hopefully not, because, yeah, it's done a very solid job, has Cello Hahn on this first appearance in regional Formula 3 machinery for the Brazilian driver. Rui Hengye starting to pull away here from Diego Della Torre, isn't he? He's pulled a second over the chasing pack already, and a 1:37.6 last time around from the championship leader to try and pull that gap, the gap growing and growing with each sector. So now the question is going to be who will be joining him on the podium. Diego Della Torre looks quite settled in second place now. Can Everett Stack do what he did in race 2 this morning and work his way past Jesse Carrasquillo for the last spot on the rostrum? Rui Hengye starts the final lap of the race, the final lap of the weekend. 1.5 seconds clear of Diego Della Torre. It is currently Jesse Carrasquillo in 3rd position, but can Everett Stack mount a challenge here? Carrasquillo defends to the inside at the first corner. Stack will try the up and under, but Carrasquillo's got it to the apex very nicely, and so has got the position covered somewhat. So they make their way down towards turn 2 for the final time, and you think if he gets out of here pretty safely, then there's not too many more opportunities for Stack to try and make a move.
Slight twitch there from Carrasquillo coming out of turn 2. And out of turn 3 and now up towards turn 4. I can tell you that the investigation is now underway over the Jan Koller and Aaron Ferrazzano situation. Obviously, it's a moot point in with regards to what's going on in terms of the top scoring places, but just to keep you all informed as to what's going on currently. Rui Hengye is on a large charge at the minute, 1.5 seconds away from Diego Della Torre, and it looks like the hoodoo has finally been crushed. The broken mirror now resolved. Rui Hengye, 1.5 seconds up the road. 5 times a race winner, leading up to Misano. Didn't score a victory there at all in the Adriatic, but back here now at Budapest, looking to make it number 6 for the season.
Yeah, 6 seemed to be the magic number in race 2 earlier on, didn't it? Our 6th different winner, as this is the battle for the rookie class honours being disputed here in 6th and 7th overall. Herrera coming under very brief pressure from Dobransky there, but nothing doing as Rui Hengye makes his way around the final corner, meets the checkered flag, and for the first time since Spa-Francorchamps is back on the top step of the podium in the Euroformula Open Championship, win number 6 in 2026 for Rui Hengye, 2.5 seconds clear of Diego Della Torre, and bagging himself the fastest lap bonus point right at the end of the race there as well. Diego Della Torre makes it back-to-back podium finishes, and Jesse Carrasquillo makes his first appearance on the rostrum this weekend. Last car over the line will be Chalo Han, who rounds out a very commendable debut weekend here in the Euroformula Open Championship. A slightly scruffy end to what has been a solid weekend of learning and foundation building for the Brazilian driver. But it is Rui Hengye who is back to winning ways in this championship, taking advantage of a small mistake from Diego Della Torre to work his way past the Mexican and into the lead of the race. So win number 6 then for Rui Hengye in the Euroformula Open Championship in 2026. 2.5 seconds clear of Diego Della Torre, who after victory this morning comes home in 2nd place. Jesse Carrasquillo makes his first appearance on the podium this weekend. Everett Stack in 4th position. Alessandro Famolaro, the first BVM racing driver, in 5th position. Javier Herrera, his teammate, 6th, and the top rookie driver ahead of Victor Dobransky, with Dividan Dan, Lorenzo Castillo, and Marcello Han rounding out the top 10 and the finishers in the race. We lost Jan Koller and Aaron Ferrazzano to contact earlier on in the race. And so, unsurprisingly, it will be an extended championship lead for Rui Hengye. Nearly 3 wins worth of points over Diego Della Torre now, with Everett Stack still in 3rd place. Jesse Carrasquillo more than 100 points back now from the Chinese Taipei driver. Rui Hengye has very much re-established his grasp on this championship. And we've got a result from the stewards already. George, it's a 3-place grid penalty for Jan Koller for the next race. So when we go to Paul Ricard in a couple of weeks' time, Jan Koller will be taking a grid penalty. It's an unsafe rejoin and causing a collision for Koller, so that explains that one. Little box ticked there. But Rui Hengye, we thought that potentially there was an opportunity for a driver or two to challenge him for the title if they could get the form together. And Rui Hengye has just kind of slapped that thought away. Yeah,
I mean, what's incredible is, despite him not winning either race 1, race 2, the win in race 3 coming obviously late in the day, not once has he dropped a single point through the course of the weekend. Of course, race 1 forfeited a victory to Everett Stack and still didn't drop points. It remained at 65. Then Diego Della Torre restored his name back into P2 in the championship, but the gap then sprung out to 66. Well, the gap is only going to enlarge now because Rui Hengye has just taken victory. The wheel is replaced on the chassis of the Dallara 324, and for the first time since Spa-Francorchamps, he celebrates a victory here at Budapest this time. Long-awaited victory number 6, and means that he will have a commanding lead in the Drivers' Championship as we head into the second half proper with Le Castellet in the south of France. And it's going to be hot over there. You thought it was hot in Budapest. Well, you wait till we arrive on the south coast of France.
Was that a TikTok thing he did?
I think he did a TikTok, yes.
I'm not cool enough to know what half of the celebrations the drivers do these days. That all seem to be inspired by some trend or another.
Other services are, of course, available, folks.
It may well be a common... I don't know anything about it, but...
Hole-in-one? I'm not sure.
I have absolutely no idea, mate.
Surely that would be 3 race wins, though.
Yeah, well, it's 6 for Rui Hengye, and the weighing procedures just being completed. The various mandatory post-race checks and technical boxes that need to be ticked before Rui Hengye can take off the helmet and the balaclava and take out the earplugs and celebrate the victory. Jesse Carrasquillo, his first podium finish of the weekend, his fourth of the season here in race 3 in the Euroformula Open Championship in Budapest. Following on from victory this morning, Diego Della Torre picks up another podium finish in second place here in race 3. But for the first time since Spa-Francorchamps, Rui Hengye is back on the top step of the podium. He's your winner in race 3.
Rui Heng, long time no see, but you're back.
Yeah, I'm quite happy for this. We can see again.
Yeah, it was a typical Hungaroring race. What happened at the very end?
Yeah, I mean, we all know Hungaroring was very difficult to overtake. So I just wait for the opportunity, wait for the others to make the mistake. So in the end, I just push a bit of pressure, and he made a mistake. So, yeah.
And lot of tire degradation, I see.
Yeah, I mean, here the rear was overheating a lot because we have the corner need to load a lot of the car. So yeah, we need to control it and finish the race.
Good, all good for the championship.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Highlights from race 3 of the Euroformula Open Championship. Diego Della Torre getting a very good launch off the line from reverse grid pole. Chalo Han unfortunately not going anywhere initially at the start of the race. Rui Hengye made his way up to second place, ran very wide on the exit of the first corner though, so that did allow Jesse Carrasquillo to briefly challenge the championship leader. Contact between Aaron Ferrazzano and Jan Koller put them both out of the race. We saw a couple of wide moments with Chalo Han and Lorenzo Castillo struggling to keep it on the track at turn 11. But this was the crucial moment of the race. A small mistake from Diego Della Torre, who had soaked up so much pressure throughout the race, but finally cracking and yielding the lead to Rui Hengye with only a few laps to go. Drivers making their way through the final corners with Javier Herrera and Victor Dobransky squabbling for the rookie class win at the very end of the race. But it was Rui Hengye who took a 6th victory in 2026. His first victory since standing on the top step of the podium at Spa-Francorchamps back in May. Rui Hengye across the line to take the victory in race 3 in Budapest. And to the podium we go. Jesse Carrasquillo on the right, Diego Della Torre on the left, Rui Hengye in the middle, the Motorpark representative joining them on the podium. And once again, Javier Herrera will make an appearance on the podium as the top rookie class driver. 3 consecutive wins is the Chinese Taipei anthem.
Well, the Chinese Taipei anthem ringing out around the circuit here at Hungaroring. Very soon the trophies will be presented. In fact, they are now. Jesse Carrasquillo back on the podium. Must be wondering where those wins have gone. Obviously, 2 back at Misano. Hasn't had one since. May have to look to Paul Ricard to unleash yet more trouble, stir up the trouble here against the rest of this grid. Diego Della Torre back on the podium as well. Jesus Perez, CEO of GT Sport Organization, presenting the winning trophy to Rui Hengye. Victorious at last after 5 races that haven't seen him maintain a victory. Motorpark back in the silverware once again. And last but certainly not least, Javier Herrera with yet another rookie winning trophy and elongating the gap to his competitors for the rookie crown. Altogether, Chris, mouth-watering complexion for Paul Ricard.
And we head into the second half of the season when we head to the south of France in just 2 weeks' time. So the 18th of July is when we'll be back in action. But that's all from Budapest in the Euroformula Open Championship. We'll see you in a couple of weeks in Paul Ricard.